At my husband's 50th birthday bash, surrounded by friends and family, I handed him a giant gift box. Inside was a stack of printouts, messages, photos, hotel receipts, from his affair with his secretary. The room fell dead silent. I kissed him on the cheek, whispered, "Happy birthday, cheater," and walked out while everyone watched. I'm Dana, 46 years old. I've lived in Decatur, Illinois, almost my whole life. I met my husband Rick when I was 17. We got married when I was 22, right after I graduated from Illinois State. He was the first man I ever loved. And he betrayed me in a way I'll never forget. Rick is one of those guys everyone likes. Always has a joke ready. Everyone thinks he's this down-to-earth, good-hearted guy who works hard and takes care of his family. He's a regional sales director for a company that sells construction equipment. It's not glamorous, but it paid well. He traveled a lot. Always some conference or training somewhere. I trusted him. For too long. We have 2 kids. Rachel is 21 and in college down in Carbondale. Zach is 18, still at home, about to graduate high school. They're great kids. I raised them right. I always tried to keep our home strong and calm even when things with Rick felt off. The truth is, things had been feeling wrong for a long time. Rick started staying out later. He was always just catching up with the team after work or dealing with a supplier in Peoria. He got a new phone last year and suddenly he had a passcode on it. That was new. He said it was for work security. I believed that for a while. Then one afternoon, I was cleaning his office at home. The vacuum bumped a drawer and it slid open. I bent down to close it and saw a printed receipt from a hotel in Indianapolis. 2 nights. Champagne add-on. Room for 2. I remembered that exact weekend. He told me he was in Chicago at a conference. I asked him about it that night, casually. I said, "Hey, weird thing, I saw a receipt from Indy. Thought you were in Chicago that weekend?" He didn't even flinch. Just said it must have been a booking mistake, that the company sometimes moves people around last minute. He said he didn't even notice it. I let it go. For about 2 weeks. But something in me changed that day. I stopped taking him at his word. I started watching. He was sloppy. That's what got him. Sloppy and overconfident. He left his phone in the bathroom while he showered one morning. I knew the passcode by watching over time. Just 4 numbers, our daughter's birth year, reversed. Inside? It was like a punch to the face. He was having an affair. Full-blown. Not just sexting or emotional stuff. Actual trips. Weekends. God knows how many nights he left me to sleep alone so he could go be with her. Her name was Stephanie. She worked under him. Secretary, assistant, whatever. She was 29. Blonde. Big fake smile. I met her once at a work party. She called me Mrs. Cooper and shook my hand with both of hers like I was a damn PTA mom. She called Rick Ricky in one message. I'll never forget that. I could barely get through 10 minutes of reading those texts without wanting to scream. But I didn't scream. I planned. That's what makes this story different. I didn't confront him. Not then. Not when I found out. Not when I wanted to tear the sheets off the bed and tell him to sleep on the floor. I kept my cool. I played the part. I went to dinners with him. Kissed him goodbye. Picked up dry cleaning. But I was watching. Collecting. I screenshotted everything. Every text. Every call log. Every "I miss you, baby." Every "can't wait till I'm done with Dana." I printed it all. Over 300 pages. I made copies of hotel receipts, gift purchases, photos from his phone. There was one of them in a hotel mirror together, both shirtless. It made me want to vomit. And here's the kicker, one message from her said, Ugh, I can't wait till that dumb birthday party is over. Then we're free. That birthday party? I planned it. I cooked for it. I handwrote invitations. It was Rick's 50th. We'd talked about doing something low-key, but he insisted on a big gathering. So I rented out the back patio at the beach house in Springfield. Beautiful view of the lake. Jazz trio. Buffet-style dinner. Drinks, dancing. The whole works. About 60 people came. His family. Our neighbors. His coworkers. Even the pastor from our old church. Rick was glowing that night. Laughing with everyone. Drinking scotch. Grabbing my hand and saying, "Doesn't she throw the best parties?" I just smiled. Then it was time for gifts. He opened one from our son, tickets to a Cubs game. Another from his brother, some fancy golf gear. Then I said, "I have one more." Everyone turned. I brought out a big box, maybe 2 feet tall. It had gold wrapping paper and a white bow. I placed it on the table in front of him. "This one's from me," I said. "It's very personal." He grinned like a fool. "Ah, babe, you didn't have to." He opened the box. Right on top was the picture, the mirror selfie. Underneath, the pages. Black and white printouts. Dozens. Stacks. His face dropped. The room got quiet. Like someone turned off the sound. He pulled out one page, then another. He flipped to a hotel receipt. Then a text that read, "Wish you were in my bed tonight instead of her." Paul, his best friend, said, "What the hell is this, Rick?" Rick looked like he couldn't breathe. I stepped closer. I leaned in and kissed his cheek, slow and calm. Then I whispered, "Happy birthday, cheater." I grabbed my purse, turned around, and walked out the door. No one stopped me. I didn't cry in the car. I thought I might, but I didn't. I got in, turned the key, and drove straight to a motel on the edge of town. I had packed a bag 2 days before, just in case I changed my mind, I told myself. But deep down, I knew I wouldn't. It had clothes, my charger, copies of the papers I gave him, and my grandmother's wedding ring. The one she said to only wear when I felt loved. I took it off. I stayed at that motel for 2 nights. My phone blew up. At first, it was just Rachel and Zach. "Mom, what happened? Where are you? Are you okay?" I answered them right away. I told them the truth. I sent them copies of what was in the box. I didn't want them confused or thinking I just lost my mind. They're old enough to know. I said, "I'm safe. I love you. And no, I'm not going back." Then Rick started texting. Calling. Voicemails. "Dana, please. We need to talk. You didn't have to do that in front of everyone. Can we fix this?" I didn't answer. Then the tone changed. "You ruined my life. My job is at risk. You're blowing this out of proportion. You're going to regret this." He switched so fast it made my head spin. It wasn't about hurting me anymore. It was about control. He didn't like that I'd taken it back. Stephanie texted me, too. Somehow she found my number. That part made me sick. "You're pathetic. No wonder he wanted someone else. You're bitter and old." I didn't reply. But I saved every single message. On the 3rd day, I went home. Rick was gone. The house was quiet. A few birthday decorations still hung in the living room, like ghosts of that night. I took them down. Tossed them in a garbage bag. Then I sat at the dining room table and started writing. I wrote a full, detailed timeline of everything I discovered. I printed out the backup copies of the affair materials. I included the screenshots of her messages. Then I mailed it all to Rick's boss. The company has a strict no-relationship policy between managers and direct reports. I knew that. He knew that. A week later, Rick got put on administrative leave. Then I got the papers together and filed for divorce. Rachel came home from college for a weekend. She hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Zach barely looked at his dad when he came to pick up some of his things. He didn't say a word to him. Just helped me carry out the trash, then came back inside and sat with me while I made spaghetti. But the fallout didn't stop there. Rick's family was pissed. At me. His mother, who's never liked me, called and said, "You embarrassed our family." I said, "Your son did that." I just turned on the light. I got Facebook messages from people I hadn't talked to in years. Some said, "Good for you." Others said, "That was cruel." One woman, an old friend of Rick's, wrote, "You could have handled it privately. You didn't have to destroy him." I didn't answer any of them. I didn't need to justify it. He destroyed me in silence for years. I gave him 10 minutes of honesty. But here's where it gets messy. 3 weeks after the party, I got a call from an unknown number. I usually let those go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. It was a woman. She sounded nervous. "Is this Dana Cooper?" "Yes." "Who is this?" "My name's Jessica. I don't know how to say this, but I used to work with Rick. A few years back." My heart dropped. She said she saw what happened at the party through someone's Facebook post. And she thought I should know. She had an affair with him too. 2 years ago. It ended badly. He ghosted her. Promised he was going to leave me. Told her she was crazy when she started asking questions. That was when I realized Stephanie wasn't the first. Maybe not even the second. I thanked Jessica for calling. She sounded embarrassed even though she didn't owe me anything. She told me, "I thought he was telling the truth. He said your marriage was dead, that you didn't care." I believed him. I didn't know what kind of man he really was. I told her, I didn't either. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. I stared at the wall, at the framed photo of our family from 5 years ago, Rick's arm around me, the kids smiling at a beach in Michigan. And all I could think was, none of it was real. Or maybe it was, once. But he tore it apart, piece by piece. I started doing more digging. I had already gone through his phone and emails, but I never thought to look deeper into our joint finances. So I pulled bank statements, opened old tax returns, even looked at Venmo transactions. And that's when I found something that made my stomach turn. There were payments, regular ones, to a personal account I didn't recognize. Not Stephanie's. Not Jessica's. A third name. I looked her up on Facebook. She lived in Bloomington. Early 30s. Fitness trainer. I didn't even need to ask. I just knew. I messaged her. Politely. I said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I think you might know my husband, Rick Cooper." She replied within minutes. "Oh. Wow. Yeah. I did. A while ago." He said he was divorced. I asked, "How long ago?" She said, "About a year. Ended a few months back. It got weird. He kept saying he wanted to move in with me, then disappeared." That made 3. 3 women. 1 marriage. All during the last 5 years. I wasn't just cheated on. I was a placeholder. He was building different lives around me, with other women, while I paid bills, raised kids, and made dinner. So I decided to do one last thing. I emailed every woman I had found, Jessica, the trainer, and even Stephanie. I told them they were all welcome to talk, or not. That I wasn't looking for apologies or revenge. I just wanted them to know the truth. That they weren't alone, or crazy. And that he had done this before. Likely more than once. Jessica responded and said she was going to therapy, trying to sort out her own life. The trainer thanked me and said, "I had a feeling. But you confirmed it. I'm sorry you had to find out like this." Stephanie never replied. But a week later, I heard through Rick's cousin that she had quit her job and moved out of town. Rick, by then, had been fired. Apparently someone in HR saw the evidence packet I sent and escalated it. He violated every policy they had on workplace conduct. They made it quiet, but it was final. And then, one afternoon, he showed up at the house. I didn't know he was coming. I was working on my laptop when I heard a knock. I opened the door and there he was, disheveled, hollow-eyed, holding a cardboard box of what I guessed were his things from the office. He looked nothing like the man I married. Or maybe he looked exactly like him. And I was finally seeing it. "I just want to talk," he said. "Please." I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "You don't get to walk in here like that," I said. "Not anymore. I lost everything." "No," I said. "You threw it away." He stood there for a second, staring at the ground. Then he looked up. "I didn't mean for it to go like this." I laughed. "I couldn't help it." "You mean you didn't expect to get caught?" He said, "I thought we could fix it. Start over." That's when I lost it. My voice didn't even sound like mine anymore. "Start over? You had 3 women." 3. One of them thought you were divorced. Another quit her job and disappeared. You made me the fool in every room I walked into. You don't get to say start over like this is some misunderstanding." He blinked hard. His hands were shaking. "I don't know why I did it." I shook my head. "Yeah, you do. You did it because you thought I'd never leave. That I'd stay and smile and pretend you were the man you pretended to be." He said, "I miss our family." "Our family is still here," I said. "But you're not part of it anymore." Then I walked back inside and closed the door. He stood out there for a few more minutes. I didn't watch. I just waited until I heard his car drive away. After that day, Rick didn't come by again. At least, not in person. But the texts didn't stop. At first, he tried guilt. "I lost everything because of you. You didn't have to ruin my career." Then came pity. "I'm in a motel. I have nothing. I miss the kids. I miss you." Then, finally, came anger. "You'll regret this. You think you're better than me?" I blocked his number. But I wasn't totally clean in all of this either. The truth? I stayed quiet for years. I saw the signs and made excuses. I thought if I just worked harder at being a good wife, he'd come back to me. I let him make me feel small, unneeded. I let my self-worth shrink. I was angry at him, yes. But I was also angry at myself. So I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I looked in the mirror and asked what I wanted. The answer wasn't revenge. It wasn't even closure. It was peace. So I stopped answering questions from mutual friends. I took a break from Facebook. I took long walks every day. I started therapy. I let myself feel every bit of the betrayal. The shame. The grief. Then I let it go. Rachel came home more often. We talked like adults now. She told me, "You should be proud of yourself." Zach started asking questions about what healthy relationships look like. I told him, respect, honesty, and knowing when to walk away. Then one night, about 3 months after the party, I got a call from Rick's older brother, Todd. He told me Rick had gotten into a car accident. He was drunk. Single vehicle crash. He survived, but just barely. He had broken ribs, a shattered arm, and was in a rehab center. I didn't say anything for a long time. Then I asked, "Why are you telling me?" Because, Todd said, he won't stop asking for you. He says he just wants to apologize. I said, tell him I hope he gets better. But I'm not coming. And I didn't. I didn't visit the hospital. I didn't send flowers. I didn't send hate either. I gave Rick what he never gave me, distance and silence. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept the house. The savings were split. He walked away with less than half. Stephanie never came back. Jessica moved to another city. The trainer went silent. And me? I took a trip. Just me. Drove out to Colorado. Stayed in a small cabin outside Estes Park. I hiked. I sat by the fire. I read books. I didn't think about Rick once. I came back stronger. I changed my last name back to my maiden name, Sutton. Dana Sutton. Felt like breathing again. And one day, maybe, I'll fall in love again. Maybe not. But next time, if there is one, I won't ignore my gut. I won't give all of myself away without making sure I'm being seen. Because I did what I had to do. I exposed the lie. I burned the bridge in front of everyone. And I walked away with my head high while he stood in the ashes. Happy birthday, cheater. You got what you deserved.